r/NoSleep. Posted by u/CrimsonBayonet. The orphanage I was in is ran by cannibals. Please listen to what I'm telling you. This is a warning for anyone who is going to an adoption center in Kentucky. Let's start this off. My name is Marilyn. I was born in an impoverished home. Food was scarce and I didn't get much attention. Being the middle child, also being born a mute, made it difficult to speak up, so oftentimes I was ignored for my siblings. One evening my mother, father, my two sisters and I were going to the store in our old car. This car was held together by paper clips and duct tape, a real shitter. It was raining that day and my father was supposed to have changed the brakes out the day before. As he took a hard right, the car slid and the brakes failed and we flew into the hill below, tumbling many times before I can even react. Anxiety made me pass out during the tumble. Hours later I woke up. The sun has set and the air was frigid. I was barely able to open my eyes. I was hanging upside down at the time and I looked around. My sisters, whom were on both sides of me, were missing and my father top hat is half removed and only were his legs suspended by the belt he wore. The smell of iron in the air was suffocating me. I could feel the blood pool in the back of my throat. I had to get loose quick, so I grabbed a shard of glass and cut my belt off. Within moments I heard predators prowling the area. I decided to just run and climb a tree. Adrenaline was in my veins and I was making sure I stayed alive. Shortly after I got to safety, the pack of large black wolves came out of the brush and began devouring my father's corpse. One of them brought my little sister's arm as chew toy. It took all I have to not cry or vomit. I tied my jacket to my midsection and fastened myself to the trunk of the tree. Before I could get any rest I heard my mother screaming. The wolves were eating her alive. I can hear them tearing the muscles out as they made a sickening snapping sound like a rubber band breaking. Her screams became blood-curdling as they tore into her arms. It wasn't long until one finally went for the throat, causing the small wooded area to become deathly silent. Only sound was ravenous creatures devouring my family. I shortly fell asleep due to exhaustion. When the morning came and the birds started to chirp, I could hear police cars with their sirens blaring as they pulled up to the scene. I was barely awake, however I was able to make out a few words. Cop 1, poor son of a bitch. Lost control of the junker car he drove and it cost him his whole family. When will forensics be here? Cop 2, less than 10 minutes away. Didn't old Frank here have 3 daughters? We only found 2. In my excitement I started to clap as loud and hard as possible. I was in tears and smiling as they ran to the tree to pull me out. That night I was in the hospital watching the news as more kids were missing around the area and to keep an eye out. Shortly after news of my family's death was aired on the TV. Reporter, this just in: a family of 5 tragically lost their life, with the only survivor being the middle child Marilyn Cobbler. She currently in the ICU and expected to make a full recovery. It was then the TV flickered off as a tall gangly woman slowly steps toward me and speaks in a shrill voice. Scary lady, hello Marilyn, I've heard the tragic story and wanted to offer my condolences. I don't speak since I am mute. The nurse knew this of me, so she left me a dry erase board and a bell if I need help. I wrote to her, thank you. Do I know you though? I held the board up toward her. She bent over slowly and adjusted her glasses to read. After she was done she stood upright and stared at me and smiled a wicked smile. It sent chills down my spine. She opened her mouth and spoke once more, this time much closer than before. Scary lady, oh my sweet, sweet Marilyn. I am not someone you know as of yet. However, I do run the orphanage in town and you need a home. I am here to extend a hand to you and help you find a new family, dearie. Her breath smelled of cementing paste and sardines. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I quickly wrote on my board, is there any catch? I'm almost 17, who would want me? She did her usual. Bent over, however she was laughing. Scary lady, oh ho 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 ho. Marilyn, many families are looking for that one to fill the void of having no children or just want to help out. However, once we get to your new home we will go over the rules. I have a feeling you will fit in nicely. She then smiled and waved after she turned around and gracefully walked out, not making a sound as she stepped. The TV snapped back on and they were still reporting the accident. Reporter, on further inspection, foul play had a hand at this, as the brakes were fully functional but the brake lines were cut. BZZZZT. The TV shut off again, so this time I just powered it off. I was still very much in pain and hearing about my family again makes it hurt even more. I laid on the bed silently crying as I watched the rain run down the window. I always have loved the rain. It would lull me to sleep whenever I was sad, angry or hurt. This time was no different. I drifted off to sleep shortly after because the sound of the rain dancing on my window was what I needed. In the morning the doctors woke me up and said they can release me. Behind them was the scary lady, honestly looks like she was going to a funeral. She spoke to me in a more dignified tone, it was kinda elegant like she was royalty. "Scary lady, come on now child, your new home awaits. You'll love to see all the other children." She smiled and held out her hand. I was hesitant, but to be honest, what can I do? I can't defend for myself and I was still weak. So I grabbed her hand and got out of bed, then started to follow her out of the hospital and toward her car. The car itself was a very luxurious solid black Rolls-Royce. Scary lady opened the side door for me and said, "Don't worry about your possessions at home. We can go back and get them some other time. Right now you need a nice warm meal and a soft bed. I will care for you." She spoke in a very calm and caring tone. I have never been treated this way before, it felt good. No one spoke softly to me. I crawled in the shiny black car and the smell was like a lavender with musk, but it wasn't overbearing, just right, you know? "Lady, Montaigne, we are ready. Please turn the heater on, it's rather cold out and our new child is shivering." Montaigne, "Certainly ma'am." The heater cranked up and we were headed on our way to my new home. I was scared, but it seemed at the time to be looking up. I took my board and wrote, "Ma'am, what is your name? I have never been introduced to you." She looked at me shocked. "Yael, oh my. How rude of me. Yes, I am Yael. My father gave me this silly name, but I have had it forever at this point, haha." I smiled. I can't believe I smiled at her. Before, my instincts were telling me she was bad. Maybe this will bring me out of my depression. Something my family never understood. I wrote on my board, "It's nice to meet you, Yael, and thank you for helping me. It's been hard to cope." The memory of my family started to make me cry. In an instant Yael lunged at me and gave me a warm hug. "Yael, there Marilyn. You are safe now. If you need anything, do not hesitate to ask. I love all my children, good or bad." She gently caressed my head and rubbed my back. The warm hug along with the comfort brought me to smile and stop crying. I never felt love before, so this was the most amazing feeling. All I could do was to smile and hug back tightly. I shortly fell asleep during the embrace. I had a strange dream. I was walking down a seemingly endless hallway, with no doors and lights, and the ceiling only spread once every 5 yards or so. The hallway smelled of mildew and the floor, which was carpet, was soaked. It seemed I was wearing my hospital gowns and those rubber grip socks hospitals give you. I don't know what was worst, walking in cold, wet socks or the smell. As I wandered the halls I got to a door. Above this door was a sign. All it said was the absolute one. I hesitated at first, but I opened the door. What I saw was just a all-white room. It was infinite in all directions and there seemed to be no wall. However, there was an inch of crystal clear water stretching all the out. It was still, and the whole floor appeared to be a mirror-like. My socks felt dry and I was covered in a warmth. Shortly a tall man approached me wearing a suit and tie. He had long black hair and sunglasses. He kinda looked like a Keanu Reeves. "Man in suit, child, you must stop your rampage. There's nothing you can do to reach me. All of this is but an aspect of me." "Me? Who are you? Where am I? The Absolute. I am the Absolute. My form here is just an avatar, for I am beyond description. I am absolute in every way. The purest of all forms. I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am God." "Me? Did I die? Why are you assuming I can do anything to you? My family just died." "The Absolute, all forms of you are but an aspect of your true form. You may not know, but you are a part of a greater being. I see him akin to you and, reader's name here, you are all stories to me. My story's my ultimate narrative. Nothing you can do can escape, child." "Me? Who do you think I am?" "The Absolute, you are the V." I was shocked back into waking to an abrupt stop. The car shook a little, but Yael stopped me from falling. She calmly but firmly said, "Yael, Montaigne, please come to a stop slower as not to harm our children." "Montaigne, right. Sorry ma'am." "Yael, it's fine, just be more." "Oh. Marilyn, you're awake. Let me introduce you to the Chateau Paradis. There are currently 10 other happy and healthy children. You see, Marilyn, we only collect poor children who really could use a home. Children who have no place, no family and no hope. We give you food, clothes, education, room, and if you apply yourself enough we will pay for your college. You are welcome to stay here until you reach 20, but we will support you up to then. We have plenty of money and I have been in your position and I hate to see anyone deal with losing your family and being lost without a place to stay." She stepped out of the car, so I quickly grabbed all my things. Before I opened the door, she opened it for me and held her hand out. So, in trusting her, I grabbed her hand and got out of the car. Yael, welcome home, Marilyn. The home was beautiful. The old Victorian home was giant. It even has a stone wall that had to be 20 feet tall surrounding the home. The front lawn must have been at least 100 feet long, and the grass was a bright green and smelled so sweet. Beautiful shrubbery art of angels surrounded the lawn. They were so well done they looked alive. The driveway was a brick driveway that looked like it was waxed almost. Yael held my hand as we entered the home. Awaiting for us were the other kids and young adults. They introduced themselves and began to hug me as they all heard of my past. Is this what love is? I never have had a family member love me, but these strangers feel like they know me. Yael, okay kids, let's give her some space. Marilyn, I have to go over some quick and simple rules. If you look by this door, you see a chalkboard. Every day we all have one chore, even me. This is to make it much easier to keep the home clean. There are only 10 rules, increasing in strictness going up in the rank. 1. Try not to swear. We have very little children who live with us. 2. Do your chore daily by 10 p.m. 3. Bedtime is 8 p.m. for anyone 10 and younger and 10 p.m. for everyone else. I will check everyone's room nightly. 4. No arguing or fighting. This home is a peaceful one. 5. No outsiders are allowed in. 6. Do not go outside into the front yard past 8 p.m. 7. Do not run away. We are trying to help you. 8. Do not enter Yael's room without express permission. 9. Never ever for any reason go in the basement. Only the caretakers may enter it. It's extremely dangerous for children as it has many old wires and hot pipes. Yael, you follow these rules, you will have a good time. Disobey these will give you a mark. 5 marks and you get a light punishment, and at 10 you get a moderate. Any more after that are more severe. Ignoring the last 3 will cause a severe punishment without any marks. Is this understood, Marilyn? I just shook my head with a smile. Not going to lie, this is way easier than my previous life, so this was something I refused to throw away. Some weeks I wouldn't eat while my parents ate takeout food. I respect Yael more than my family more already. Days gone by, then weeks, then months. Almost a year since I've been here. I learned sign language with my time here. I'm healthy and in shape, and I eat at least 3 times a day now. It seemed like heaven, but some of the other children and young adults act so nervous when Yael comes around. This particular day I found out why. You see, with all my time here I never thought Yael could harm children, as she's always been patient. Yes, she has punished us, but it was nothing like my deadbeat father did and beat us with wooden boards. It was usually extra chores or being forced to sit in the corner. No one dared to ignore her punishment. That night at 7 p.m. I was helping the younger kids get to bed when one ran off crying. I chased after him, not wanting Yael to punish the boy. He was fast and small and either outran me or hid before I could find him. After 20 minutes of searching I gave up. It's him who's gotta deal with whatever, not me, so I left him alone. I still regret this decision. I went to bed expecting the next day to be amazing as usual. It wasn't, but 5 hours into my own sleep did I hear muffled screaming coming from the basement. I regrettably went out the room to check it out. Maybe the others didn't hear it, but I was the room right next to the basement door. As I snuck out carefully, I crept up to the basement door and it was already partially open. So I squeezed through it and stated my way downstairs. The air seemed to be thick and wet, with each step increasing in its humidity. When I reached the bottom I could hear Yael running down the stairs. So I quickly jumped to the left and hid in a box, holding my breath. Ever since I've been here she watches this basement like a hawk, and no one goes down here. When Yael got to the bottom of the stairs she looked around, smelling the air. She was hunched over slightly like an animal tracking a scent. Yael, I thought I heard a child in here snooping around. I must have been wrong. She slowly walked up the stairs and locked the door, then came back down. She then slowly started to walk toward the darkest corner of the room and wheeled in a chair that had someone in it. They were muffled, but I could hear their screams a little. It was a child, but couldn't tell who it was. I decided to leave the box and slowly creep around the darkest edges of the basement to get a better look. When I got not even 20 feet of the chair I can see it. The little boy who ran from me, but something was off. One of his eyes were missing and his right leg was degloved completely. As I kept studying it, the more sick and horrified I became. I held back my own vomit, and before I can regain composure Yael decided to take 3 of her fingers and gouge his other eye. What I saw next was her eating the eye raw, and it made a squishing sound like grape almost. I then saw her lengthen her jaws, weight along a foot maybe? Not sure, was a bit busy watching her shove viscera and blood in her gullet. Shoveling chunks of meat into her own mouth, then swallowing. She snapped his arm like a twig. After she began to crunch on his bones, with each sickening crunch caused me to shiver more and more. I couldn't even move. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept watching as this thing devoured the child. Piece by piece, every last drop. She even made sure to keep him alive. It was only 30 minutes, but it felt like an eternity. After she was done, I sat there staring at the small puddle of blood. She stood up slowly, her bones cracking and creaking as her elongated limbs slowly collapsed in until she was back into her normal look. She grabbed a handkerchief and cleaned her mouth. Suddenly she spoke. "Yael, come out of the shadows. Marilyn, I know you saw this. I won't hurt you." I don't know what came over me, but my body was moving on its own even when my heart was pounding and very fiber of my existence was telling me to fight, run. I walked until I was in front of her. "Yael, listen carefully, child, you are not to speak of this or I would have to." Before she could finish, she placed her hand on my shoulder and it looked like a wave of fear washed over her. She instantly flew back into a wall and quickly grew into a mass of wings and eyes. She spoke, but when she did, her voice sounded like a rusty metal can. The sound of trumpets rang from the sky and my very soul shook. "Yael, what are you? Leave now." This thing started to chase me. The fear of being caught was all I can think of. I don't to die this way. I ran faster than ever before. Once I got to the front door, before I can touch them they swung open and I felt this thing was bearing down on me and shoved me to the ground. In the fall I sprained my ankle, but the pain was ignored due to all the adrenaline. "Yael, what are you, child? Who are you? Answer before I kill." Again, before she could complete the sentence, a group of black tendrils grabbed her, covering her entire mass of wings and eyes. I could hear the trumpets roaring before they were ultimately silenced. I didn't want to stay a moment longer, so I ran as fast as I could to the exit. I got to the exit and the gates automatically opened. I don't know where to go, so I just kept running until I passed out by the road. A day later I woke up to sound of beeping. I could only slowly open my eye before I was greeted by the same doctor who treated me after my family died. It's been 2 weeks and I am finally able to move freely. Turns out most of my organs were ruptured. I was given a laptop to keep my mind off things. Yael never contacted me, so the hospital is releasing me today. P. Hello again. Reader's name: I see you found my past. Oh. I know you, ha ha ha. We've met before and I have to say your story is delicious. I want to warn you, be careful where you tread, for your story is just that to me, a story. I am the ultimate being, I am the Omega, I am the void. I will tear asunder all narratives. There is no end, only the void. I know this, for I have walked the halls of God and laid my eyes upon the throne, and it was empty. Please stay away, or at the very least never go to an orphanage in Kentucky.